I got into the best public school in the world, and I got called into the Philippine National Team.
Ooh, ooh, show it off, ooh.
Yo, Steve Burstyn coming at you with the microphone. You already know what it is, and it's day 71. I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty lazy and I didn't really want to do any filming today. So what that means is I'm going to share a snippet of my story and my career through football. Let's roll back to 4 years ago. It's 2014. I had just taken a gap year. I got called into the Philippine National Team. On March 27th, I had gotten accepted into UC Berkeley. And then 3 days after that, I got a call from Australia because the head coach at the time was based in Australia for the U23 Philippine National Team. He had called me, inviting me to the training camp in Metro Manila. Needless to say, it was probably one of the best weeks in my whole entire life. I got into the best public school in the world, and I got called into the Philippine National Team. So I was ecstatic, and I finally just felt like that gap year was truly worth it. If you guys want to go back into learning about why I took a gap year, I'll share that in another video. It's just going to take way too long to explain that kind of thing. Instead of going into like a broad overview of my whole career, I would rather share my story and my journey in a much more specific way in chunks, and then I can put them in a playlist and you guys can kind of watch from there if you guys care to know that. But specifically for this, I'm going to be talking about my time with the Philippine National Team. I had gotten called into the Philippine National Team in late March of 2014, and the training camp was in, I think it was late April, in going towards the beginning of May. The first 2 days or so, there were 150 people from all the provinces from all over the Philippines. And so it was a very, very big pool of players. And I had made that first cut, and it got cut down to about 100 people. And a few days later went by, and then it went down to like 50 people. And then I would say a couple more days went by, and then it went down to about 30 people. And the whole time you're fighting for the final 18 roster to go to the Hassanal Bolkiah Trophy, which is a trophy that's hosted by Brunei. And so, long story short, I had gotten past the 150-person trial, the 100-person trial, the 50-person trial, and the 30-person trial. And after the 30-person trial, my coach went up to me and he said like, hey, I'll see you in 2 months. He had already decided that he wanted me to be part of that final 18. And we played a number of matches. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll show you guys that official letterhead that I got from the Philippine Football Federation. And we played against Ceres Negros, we played against Stallions, and we had played against, I think, Manila Jeepney. And I had played every single position on that field, including goalkeeper. I actually stepped in as a goalkeeper for one game. And funny enough, I used to be a goalkeeper in my youth career, and my coach, who is a Australian Hall of Famer, and he was a 1974 Australian World Cup goalkeeper, he had said I was the best goalkeeper in that whole training camp. That didn't include some of the guys that were eligible, but to be named, one of the best goalkeepers when I'm not a goalkeeper was a pretty big honor to me. But yeah, during our games, I had actually captained the squad, and that was a huge honor. I was playing right back, I was playing center back, right mid, and this is, I was on a high. I was doing really well, and a week into the training camp, I had gotten plantar fasciitis. And so plantar fasciitis is just like a tendinitis that you get from your plantar fascia, which is the bottom of your foot. I have really flat feet, and so my arch started to cave in, and I played through that whole injury. And I was actually injured for a decent amount of time after that training camp, and I went back home. Had to get like steroid shots and rehab and all that kind of stuff. This is where I guess is the sad part. So I had, gotten through the 150, the 100, the 50, the 30, and now I'm in the final 18 and I'm possibly going to captain the squad. And now comes the paperwork issues. I've told you guys time and time again that paperwork is probably one of the most annoying things that you'll have to work with just to become a footballer in different countries. So essentially what had happened was I had already turned 19. If I was 18, there would be no problem. But there's something called RA 9225, which is just like receiving your Philippine citizenship back. My mom had gotten naturalized as an American citizen before I was born. So technically, even though she's Filipino blood, full 100% Filipino blood, because she was naturalized as an American and didn't keep her Philippine citizenship, I'm not a natural born Filipino. And so if she had reacquired her Philippine citizenship while I was 18, I could be a subsidiary. But because I had just turned 19, I was ineligible. And so because of that, there has just been a mess of paperwork, and I've reached out to embassies, I've reached out to lawyers, and I've reached out to the Philippine Football Federation. They all kind of make it seem like they understand the situation, but they truly don't. So if any of you guys or somebody that's related to Philippine football knows a good lawyer that can help me handle this, hey, feel free to reach out to me, because honestly, I'm still trying to acquire my Philippine passport. And so because I was not able to get my passport, I could not be eligible to play for the Philippine National Team. My goal in the next 1 to 2 years is to get on the radar again, to play at a professional level team in the US, maybe in Sweden, maybe other parts of Europe, and have the Philippine Football Federation notice me as a player so that they'll actually work a little bit harder to help me get my Philippine passport and my citizenship so I can be FIFA eligible to go and participate in international matches. I definitely do think if I was able to play in like the 3 or 4 international tournaments, like the AFC championships, and play against like national teams like Australia and Japan and Thailand and Myanmar and Cambodia, like I would be a completely different player. I probably would have left school earlier, and I think my football career could have been somewhere else, and it could be in Asia. It probably wouldn't be in Europe. But hey man, that's paperwork is a pain, and I had a really good time just being part of the Philippine national team for that brief period that I was. And now fast forward 2 years later, 2016, and I actually had gotten called into the senior national team. I had gone in the summer, I think it was around July or August, and I had contacted the Philippine Football Federation again to see if they could help me handle my paperwork, and they said, hey, we have a training session, come on out. So I went out and I trained with them, I had a good session, but just to be completely honest, and I don't think this is just my opinion, I think the Philippine Football Federation is really disorganized, and I've lost contact with them, and I'm just waiting for myself to get a professional contract and get noticed again so that I can try and resume, that part of my career. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed my story. There is probably a lot more detail I could get into about specifically how I felt about the games, all that kind of stuff. If you guys have questions, leave a comment below. You already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the like button. You know what it is. Steve Burstyn signing out.